that correct. This Sunday, in the first hour, Garth and Natasha explore the connection between racism and mental health. How do we address the short and long-term effects of racist experiences on those who are targeted? And in the second hour, we will bring you one of the highlights of our Independence Day Parade, the precision drill display by the Combined Services Detachment. Listen live this Sunday from 10 a.m. on I-95.5 FM or watch live on the I on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. I on Dependency. We don't just share stories, we change lives.
I on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to Independency, right here on I-95.5 FM, live on the Independency Facebook page and YouTube channel. Good morning, Natasha.
Good morning, Garth. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome. We have a sort of a heavy topic, but one that needs to be discussed, especially in light of global events. But Garth is going to introduce us to the topic and the reason why we're here this morning to discuss this.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the hardest program that we've ever chosen to do. This first hour, we're going to celebrate in the second hour, and you are going to see that drill team in action. You're going to see even the dog and all that graced us with his presence on the tarmac that day. Good morning, Gary Barrington. Gary is usually with us too as well.
And thank you to Storm and Tom.
Yes. Folks, you know, our forte has been social issues for the last 20 years. And this has bothered me for quite a while. As I said before in the beginning, that it's one of the hardest programs that we'll ever do. And we're coming this way but once. But we take this, what we're going to do here in the first hour, very serious. Because you see, the people we're going to show in the second hour, they are the ones who we should respect. The servicemen and women of Trinidad and Tobago. They are the ones we should respect. Independence is not a political issue. So this morning, finally, and not going to say finally because I'm sure it will be the beginning of a series of discussions. I hope we will continue because we have people like Corey Jilks and my friend Michael, both African and Indian, that we want to engage them in conversation. But before we do this program this morning, I would like us to start with no better way to begin this session with a piece from Black Stallion, live at the Dimash Grass stage. I would like to set the stage for this discussion this morning. When we're done here, we will have that clear understanding that independence is not to be messed with. A country's independence is not to be messed with. That is something that you don't play with. And the football that it is right now does not make sense. There are countries that fought blood, sweat, and tears to get their independence. Lives were lost. We got ours on a platter, and we playing football with it. It's time it stops. Gary, that quote by Barack Obama, who the cap fit about extraordinary people doing, or ordinary people doing extraordinary things, find that for me. But Hinkson, good morning to you. Let's go to the first one on this morning. Let's start with this. Let's bless the proceedings with this track. And then when we return, anybody who knows the opposition leader's number and Ms. Amin please ask them to tune in. This is not a bash anybody morning. This is a healing morning, and at the end of this hour, we will make a request to all you people who are charged to run Trinidad and Tobago who would like to. We would like to make a request at the end of this hour. I've always said that I've never been to a drug pusher who ever asked me which party I vote for before he sold me drugs. They don't business. We have a bigger fight on our hands. And we cannot win if we fight in each other. There's a saying that when brothers fight, the enemy inherits the property. Somebody will inherit Trinidad and Tobago from us if we don't stop this nonsense. So, Shortman, let's go to that first track. Let's bless these proceedings and let's come back and begin this journey.
A message of hope, a message of love to our people and the rest of the world for the rest of the 90s in times. We seem to feel that life is over just because we throw a few pennies down the gutter. We seem to feel everything is lost, so we're fighting to get back something at any cost. But while we fighting and we fighting just to get back that little something, we forgetting we know nothing of this world in which we live in. Someone greater put this world together, so we must remember. In times of plenty, we must be grateful. In times of sorrow, we must be strong. In times of joy, we must be thankful. For life really has its up and its down. In times of disaster, we must be ready to get together and move racism out the way. And if you listen to this watchword from your lover, black darling, tomorrow would be a better day for you and you and you. World today with 4 seasons. Now who is we to try and find out what's the reason and what goes wrong, so must come back wrong, so why that is so nobody don't know. And there are so much other mysteries that nobody still can answer. So we just got to say thanks and keep looking to the future, because this world is not yours to control. It is just to behold. In times of plenty, we must be grateful. In times of sorrow, we must be strong. In times of joy, we must be thankful. For life really have its up and its down. In times of disaster, we must be ready to get together and move racism out the way. And if you listen to this watchword from your lover, black darling, tomorrow would be a better day for you and you and me.
I carried alongside Sterling Henderson. Every time I am asked by I-95 to assist in coverage of the Independence Parade, I willingly do so. Because you all know where my blood, my navel string is buried. So that's something like that I would never refuse. And for years, I've been watching the scenario with our Independence Parade, and I keep asking, why is it happening like this? Why we even have to discuss this after 60 years? So I got home, and I sat on the computer, and I came up with this. And this is what caused the brouhaha. Now, I would have left it there. But then people started posting, well, I did tell them come from her. And they did.
And they did.
And when one person said to me that Independence Day is an African celebration, I said, no, something is wrong. And because, as I said to him, I thought that was emancipation. So I decided, and we will show you some screen grabs of those comments that this post generated that I'm going to share with you now. So I got on the computer and I said, dear Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, this will be the very first and last time I will address you and your opposition party. It's quite clear to me that you don't understand the assignment. If you and your members cannot attend, not even our 60th anniversary of independence to celebrate with us, then you have absolutely no right to hold the reins of power in my country ever again. Now, people corrected me on that line, and I stand corrected. That is not my call. Everyone has the right to hold the reins of power. I was just using it in a context because I went on to say this is the last straw for me. That is. Big man thing. If you and your cohorts cannot respect something as sacred and neutral as a nation's independence, then you will have absolutely no respect for me. And that's as real as I can get. God Sinclair, independence. Which more important in the scheme of things? God sent the Independence Parade, our independence, our anniversary, our birthday every year. That's more important than me and Natasha and Gary, I'm sure. So if you cannot respect that, then you can't respect me. Can you imagine, even a Caribbean terrier, a pothound, took time out of his busy schedule to do a trot pass right after the canine section did their thing. Talk about timing. In all my years doing the broadcast from the Savannah with Stirling, I have never seen that before this morning. He even did an eyes right, acknowledging the grandstand. You all will see it if you feel aligned. We're going to show that just now in the next hour. So what you telling me, dog smarter than you and your colleagues? It's 60 years we're talking about. Only happens once. To make matters worse, the Prime Minister of Jamaica took time out from his business to pay us a visit and even attend the parade alongside members of the government. And you telling me a whole foreign Prime Minister can pay us that much respect and only living right here and miss that? Nah, man. You see, you all will never get it. You all had the opportunity to show the world something, which is, by the way, taking time out, and we'll show you all that too, what the world did first. Taking time out to acknowledge us as well. For instance, House of Commons, Niagara Falls, Google, CN Tower, just to name a few. You all had one job, ma'am. Come out, sit in the grandstand, hold your nose if you want to. But you're going to show, not only the world, but our youth as well, that despite our differences, we can come together for one purpose, to celebrate this piece of land that has been so generously kind to us. Check what's happening around the world right now in case you missed it. And you don't believe me? Famine, drought, floods, war, just to name a few. Shame, shame, shame. Call me what all you want. I do business. I return to this country to play my part and to ensure I make it better than I met it, and will continue to do so. But stunts like this make it difficult to keep our people focused and to keep our youth in line. If all don't care, why should they? And I ended by saying, if you can't celebrate my independence, then you can't run my country. Enough said. Well, folks who tell me say that. So we're going to do a step-by-step now. Natasha?
Yes, I mean...
So coming out of that, right?
Yes.
We had a response from Miss Khadija Amin.
Yes.
We're going to play that for you first. And then we're going to rebut that statement once and for all. And I want to thank Pastor Google Pastor Google's our boss, real patriot, and he for helping us and providing us with the content for this program today. So Pastor Google, thank you very much. Always a supporter. We always support each other. Thank you. So we're going to play first the response from Miss Amin. Shortman?
No, I'm not Shortman. That's Gary.
Oh, Gary? Okay. Wait, I didn't give him
The flash drive. Well, while you're doing that, can I share my little piece? I wanted to just share these 3 points with you to put the conversation into context, because this issue of race relations in Trinidad and Tobago did not start with Kamla Bisasa and the UNC. It didn't start on Independence Day. Race relations in this space that we call Trinidad and Tobago has been entirely determined by white supremacy. And you may not see the connection, but let me just explain briefly. White supremacy was and is the reason for Europe's expansion into Africa, Asia, and the New World. Well, new to them. It was Europeans who conceived the demarcation of race as we know it today and used these inane pseudo-scientific hierarchies in the way they dominated, exploited, converted to Christianity, and ruled over peoples in the aforementioned parts of the world. The second point is that the way in which various groups of people were treated by imperialist and colonial powers that met us here, the indigenous people, brought us here, Africans and Indians, and wooed us here, Chinese, Middle Eastern people, to this country. All of the ways in which we see each other, the myths and stereotypes that we believe and reinforce about each other and ourselves, the gods we pray to, our values and morals, even the ways in which we govern ourselves, are the direct result of colonialism. And this is important as we reflect on the legacy of the British monarchy at this time. And the third point is where I deviate slightly with Garth, is that we cannot depend on politicians to fix or heal the deep wounds and trauma created by colonialism. Their motivation for dividing the population, whether overtly or covertly, along a racial divide, only benefits their ambitions of power. We instead must examine the conditioning and mindsets that we've been taught and has been handed down from generations before and in the future. This will not be easy because it requires holding ourselves accountable for the harm that we may have endured or inflicted on others by mere virtue of race or ethnicity. It will also require us to learn about and learn from the history and legacy of colonialism, none of which unfortunately is taught in schools. So I just wanted to put those points out there in the context of what we're going to explore this morning.
I still maintain that our leaders here, you see utterances, you see words have power.
They do.
Words have real power. You see what happened on January 6th in America? Because a leader said, fight like hell. And we're going to play the words of Mrs. Bisesa from 2012 when she was happy to host that function as Prime Minister, and what she said in 2022. And I want to ask her this morning, which one is the truth? Because you see, we're teaching one thing in schools, but yet you came and you said something else this year. So I want to know which one is the truth, so we can let our children, we could continue to educate our children properly. What's the truth about our independence? You said two things. We're going to play that this morning, and I hope at some point in time you'll be big enough to respond. Natasha, what I want her to do and what I want the leader of the government to do, if it could happen. I know maybe a pipe dream, I know I may be naive, but here what? You see a race war? We don't want that in Trinidad and Tobago, you know. And this is the kind of thing that leads to it. But before we cross that, folks, let us play, and Natasha will put up the screen grabs. Shortman will put up the screen grabs, right? Yeah?
Yes, video B. Video B is basically a
Put up the
selection of the comments that were left on the post for you, to the sound of, with the background music of a song that he sang back in 2013. So it kind of illustrates what you're gonna see on the
because
screen.
people accuse me of not saying anything when they supposedly PNM government boycotted the Independence Parade. Well, we have something here to debunk that. I did sing about it though, however, because for the 50th anniversary I felt you will hear the lyrics. But let's go look at this first screen grab here, folks. Go back to the first screen grab. I want you to see what prompted me to respond.
Started over.
Started over short, man. And people ask me, God, people call me and say somebody really said that. I said, well, I have the screen grab to prove it. So let's go back to the first one. Look at the trouble we in there, folks. God, go jump in a lake. Independence in Trinidad and Tobago is a African thing. It's nothing about side by side we stand. Independence Day for me, God, is a ripe. And you know what the banana means, folks?
Correct.
Concerning the African race, right? And this is why we tied it in with mental health. Because how many of you would go into an East Indian business place and be treated like crap? And when you come out, you know, it doesn't affect you mentally. Or when you see people using the N-word about us, especially after an election, when they lose. The kind of things that I hear about myself and my community as a race of people. One even suggested that Dr. Rowley put contraceptives in the water so we would stop breeding. Let's go to the next slide, short man.
Or just run the track.
Run the track, short man. Run the track. Just run it.
The father of this nation must be turning in the grave. When we celebrated independence, we leaders' behavior had me amazed. The very strange conduct displayed by exemplars on the both sides. I am sure that it brought tears to Williams and Capildeo's eyes. Will there ever be a time when we would put politics and race aside? And for this country we would stand by each other side by side. And while we children watching to see we national pride, 50 years of celebration, both factions take a side.
So what we're doing here, we're playing this track for you listening on the radio, but we're putting up the screen grabs with the response from my post. Alright, so oh gosh, pull out the balize from between your XXX leg, or the really stupid generation after generation. There's a specific race hell-bent on causing mayhem, divisiveness and chaos in beautiful Trinidad and Tobago. These are some of the responses, folks, that came out of me posting something about concern about our independence. Smart people don't stand next to self-seeking thieves who can rape the country's treasury and have no respect for women. And this is kind of strained totally from what the issue is. The issue is our independence. But when you have a leader skewing the facts about independence, as a friend of mine, well, I'll call him a friend, but he responded to me, he said, south of the Caroni Bridge really don't care, because they were groomed not to care about. They saw it as an African celebration, Natasha.
There's a reason why that is so. This is my point.
Put up the music again, Gary.
Celebration, boy, that was so sad. So we raised our flag in Woodford Square and raised the next one elsewhere. Oh, what a shame! A little hole up here by the lighthouse, it cut off half the country from tongue. Tribal war and drugs destroying my brothers from Togo to the Beatum. Independence celebration should be used to unify my nation. I wonder who to blame. For my country I feel so shame. Shame, shame. Shame, shame. So tell me who to blame. I want to know. July 4th, America celebrated their independence with pride. The Republicans and the Democrats put all acrimony aside. Since 1707, the United Kingdom is an independent nation. Still the Labour and the Conservatives celebrate with conviction. The same thing does happen for independence down in Venezuela. They have a unified celebration, giving praise to Bolivar. I feel we get this flag too easy or too early from the British. Not a shot fired, we never fought for it, so we don't appreciate it. So we raise a flag in Woodford Square and raise the next one elsewhere. Oh, what a shame. Time to review the Constitution or stop being so partisan if we really want to achieve true integration. Independence celebration should be used to unify this nation. I wonder who to blame for my country of feeling shame. Shame, 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 shame. Who to blame? Answer my question, please. Shame, shame. Who to blame? This is just a little heads up to the leaders of my land. Since 78 there's a civil war going on in Afghanistan. 2003 there's a civil war with Darfur and Sudan. And since 91 there's a civil war.
Yes, so folks, so what we're doing, you can log on to our Facebook page or YouTube channel, that's EYE, if you want to follow this journey with us this morning. Right now we're showing the screen grabs, some of the responses from the post that I put up. And I hope Ms. Basad Bisessa and Ms. Amin, you're listening this morning, because you're going to join, or not join, but I never got you to do an interview on this radio station ever. But I hope you would listen, so that next year, please God, we see a different Trinidad and Tobago, because we'll be 61 by then. All right? So let's finish with this screen grab. No, let finish play.
Let it roll, yeah.
Independence celebration should be used to unify this nation. So stop all the blaming game and save this country from going down the road of shame, 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 shame. Who to blame? Why we behaving so? Shame, shame.
Stop all the blaming game.
Who to blame?
Before we continue down this road of shame. You all are governing the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and this is our independence, and we need you all to stop it. So it's boycott for boycott every year. Look right now, America observing the 9/11. You ain't hear that nobody ain't blaming Bush, or nobody ain't blaming Trump, nobody ain't blaming. They come out for America today. This is what independence is. We would like it to be all about, and stop playing football with it. Now, Natasha.
Yes.
When the response, this post was shared like 199 times, only 200 times.
Yes, and was very popular on WhatsApp, I understand.
Yes.
It was.
So Ms. Amin responded. Let's play her response, Gary. Here's what she had to say.
Yep. So very
There was no instruction from the leader of opposition to boycott independence celebrations in Port of Spain yesterday. Several MPs are out of the country at this time. They will be returning for the resumption of Parliament and to continue their duties in representing their constituencies. We also must not believe that everything Trinidad and Tobago must be in Port of Spain. I don't know if people forget, but when Kamla Prasad Bisessa was Prime Minister, the opposition led by Dr. Keith Rowley boycotted independence celebration for the 50th anniversary of our nation's independence. So any PNM person who condemns the opposition member or any opposition member not attending independence is a hypocrite.
All right.
Yeah, I was shocked to hear that coming from her, I pegged her as a more intelligent woman than that, because the slightest bit of research, if you had asked anybody to just make sure, double check and make sure that no one from the then opposition, in fact, did not attend the Independence Day parade in 2012. But of course, as the internet is wont to do, it throws up, the receipts. As the young people say, the receipts are there.
So let's go to the video now. To debunk that statement once and for all. And I've not heard her, Miss Amin, apologize for this yet. But let's go to that. It's called Everybody Love Parade and see who was there, who was not supposed to be there, or who didn't attend. Let's go.
A sea of red descended onto the Queen's Park Savannah on Friday morning to witness a yearly tradition,
footage,
the Independence Day Parade.
Yeah.
Persons of all ages and from many parts of the country surrounded the paved portion of the Savannah to see the National Security Forces in action. There were several additions to the event this year, which left the crowd very pleased.
It was fantastic. It was good. I am very, very proud of my country right now.
It was very exciting. It's a lot bigger than I thought it would have been. And the weather just complemented the occasion. It was great.
One of the guests of the government, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, was on hand and expressed congratulations on a job well done.
Impressive, absolutely impressive. I enjoyed it, and I'm happy to be here in Trinidad and Tobago. Happy birthday!
On his way out of the grandstand, Attorney General Anand Ramlogan gave his thoughts on the just concluding celebrations.
I thought it was particularly impressive to see TASA for the first time in our independence celebrations and as part of our military parade, and I think that signals that we have celebrated Trinidad and Tobago in all its glory.
And Opposition Leader Dr. Keith Rowley said the additions gave the parade a nice touch.
There were a lot of nice aspects to it. A couple of new initiatives. Nice, interesting.
After leaving the Savannah, the parade headed in a westerly direction, eventually ending at King George V Park in St. Clair. For CNC3,
Shortman,
I am Chester Sambrano.
Look, Dr. Rowley's on the screen there. So, for big people, intelligent people supposedly, and I'm sure all of you have masters and bachelors and so on, you couldn't do a research before you made that venomous, and you heard the venom in her voice.
Yeah, she sounded kind of angry.
And you heard also, now this is where the mental health thing comes in, folks.
Yep.
That same Attorney General, you heard what he just said? Well, I want him to check the Indian Army to see if them have TASA in their lineup. You see where your head is at? It's the same thing you did with SORT. When you walked in there, among all the African people, and asked, how much Indian all they say working here? You know what you did to the mental of the African people working in that organization then? That's the mental health part of it we're dealing with here, because this is what we do on our independency. You all need to stop it. You all need to, the only thing you were happy to see was TASA. TASA! I see they bring in the djembe and them with these, I don't even like that. And to tell you, and I play real African drums. You know that, Natasha.
Yes.
But I didn't. Military is
why?
military. I just didn't like it. Honestly, I just didn't like it.
Somebody could say the same thing for steel pan. I mean,
okay,
I think that's an innocuous thing to bring up.
No, hold on. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about military for me,
yes.
Natasha Nunez, Sinclair. It's kettle drum,
yes.
Bass drum,
yes.
Tenor, bugle. That is military for me.
So you would accept a steel pan in there?
Yes, that's fine.
Why?
Because it makes us unique.
And why not
it makes
it
unique. All right, okay, fine. No problem.
A TASA drum, I mean, yeah, I don't see how identifying the TASA as an instrument, as a part of the music or the band, I don't think it's relevant.
No, but it was to placate, and I didn't like that.
Well, I mean, politicians will say and do what they do.
But that's the only thing
They're appealing to their audience and the people.
Shortman, play that again for me, please. So for those of you who did not hear and didn't know, Dr. Rowley and the opposition did attend the 2012 parade. All right? This is just to rile up the base.
Correct.
And
a
Listen again and see if you hear Dr. Rowley's voice, because he wasn't supposed to be here. We got a shorter clip, but I didn't want to play that because I don't want anybody to feel we doctored anything. This is the 2012 50th Anniversary Parade at the Savannah. Listen again, folks.
Of the Savannah to see the National Security Forces in action. There were several additions to the event this year, which left the crowd very pleased.
It was fantastic. It was good. I am very, very proud of my country right now.
It was very exciting. It's a lot bigger than I thought it would have been. And the weather just complemented the occasion. It was great.
One of the guests of the government, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonzalez, was on hand and expressed congratulations on a job well done.
Impressive, absolutely impressive. I enjoyed it, and I'm happy to be here in Trinidad and Tobago. Happy birthday!
On his way out of the grandstand, Attorney General Anand Logan gave his thoughts on the just concluding celebrations.
I thought it was particularly impressive to see TASA for the first time in our independence celebrations and as part of our military parade, and I think that signals that we have celebrated Trinidad and Tobago in all its glory.
And Opposition Leader Dr. Keith Rowley said the additions gave the parade a nice touch.
There were a lot of nice aspects to it. Couple of new
Whose voice is this you all hearing, folks?
Nice, interesting.
After leaving the
Good.
Savannah, the parade headed in a
So,
westerly
and I hope
direction,
that at some point you will get an apology for this, because it would help to heal the wounds. So now we talk about independence. Let's go to the to video D, and let's hear what Ms. Basabi had to say about our independence. Folks, this is the focus here. How important our independence is. When the troops come out to display, the troops are there to support the government of Trinidad and Tobago, not the UNC, not the PNM. They are soldiers who I know never voted, because as far as they're concerned, they were supporting Trinidad and Tobago. They were defending and working on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago. Ms. Bissell said the eyes of the master fattens the cow. And when you come out to show the troops, because you are aspiring to be in office again, it's the same troops that are watch your back. So you can give them a little love. As you will see in the next hour with that drill display that they put together, man, it was wonderful. So let's go to that video D now, short man. Let's go.
We will celebrate that 60th milestone. This Independence Day, do not let the PNM fool you into thinking they fought for any independence. If you know your history, the British fired us. They didn't want the colonies anymore. They said, go, go, please go, please go. So what fight did you fight? The British Empire was shedding the empire. The British were not fighting to keep us as colonies. And so you see, all of us around the same time, all the Caribbean here, all the Commonwealth, most of the Commonwealth nations, go, please go, all you go. That's how we got independence. It was not a fight. There was a fight, however, when they went up to Marlborough House to put in the terms of the Constitution. There was a fight there between the government and the opposition to ensure that there were some checks and balances in the Constitution that would ensure that all people, all would have an equal place and an equal space in our country. That was the fight, but not to get independence. After the World War, the British were determined to get rid of us because we were like pulling them down, you know. Sugar had gone. We were lucky we had oil, but most of the colonies had very little resources. And so the PNM inherited from the British a country blessed by God with abundant natural resources, a multicultural population living in harmony and safety. That is what the PNM inherited at the time of independence. At that time in 1962, we were
the first chief minister and the first premier. After the short-lived federation, he championed the cause for independence.
There's more, folks. Listen.
Dr. Eric Williams and opposition leader Dr. Rudranath Kapildeo formed a delegation and went to London.
It's a great honor for us, the members of the Trinidad and Tobago delegation, to be here this morning in this historic building, taking our place long overdue in the independence queue. The steady progress to full internal self-government in the last few years has enabled the government to raise the standard of living of the people of Trinidad and Tobago to a level higher than that of many independent countries in the contemporary world. The improvement of the material foundations of our society is a necessary safeguard for the preservation and entrenchment of our emerging democracy. This will entail adjustments, economic and psychological, for Trinidad and Tobago in its relations with its West Indian neighbors to the rapidly changing world economy. The Independence Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago must therefore endow the government, which represents the general will of the people, with sufficient powers to sustain the responsibilities of independence, to guarantee continued investment from all sources, and to ensure the continued improvement of the well-being of the people.
When Trinidad and Tobago gained independence on August 31st, 1962, Williams became the first Prime Minister.
Today, we stand proudly on the shoulders of the giants who came before us and those
Listen
who continue
carefully,
to
folks.
fortify us, both sung and unsung heroes of our nation. I pay my deepest tributes to those great men and women who positioned us as an independent nation. In particular, I pay tribute to the late Honorable Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, our country's first Prime Minister and founding father of our nation. Dr. Rudranath Kapildeo, the first leader of the opposition of an independent Trinidad and Tobago. Sir Ellis Clark, the principal architect of our 1962 Constitution and our first President of Trinidad and Tobago. They stand beside many equally talented citizens who demonstrated the vision and courage to recognize that in order to survive as a small, independent nation of such remarkable diversity, we needed to embody and epitomize the spirit and character of democracy in its truest form: respect, tolerance, and a determination to protect and safeguard our democracy and our sacred human rights, and to have the willpower to let this forever be our hallmark as a nation. Our founding leaders thus engineered the direction of our new nation under God, with a self-reliant, ambitious people living in liberty and harmony. And today, I pay homage to them as we express our gratitude and thank God for the significant contributions they made to Trinidad and Tobago. And after 50 years of peaceful democratic governance, we pay homage to those leaders and to all who supported the pursuit of our independence. Their faith in the capacity of our country and our people was crucial to the growth of Trinidad and Tobago as we know it today. And as we reflect on the vision of our early leaders, there is no doubt that we are standing also on the shoulders of other giants, including Butler, Cipriani, Rienzi, Gomes, and CLR James, to name a few.
So, my people, I want to ask, yes.
The latter was 2012, and the first piece you heard from
Was
Mrs. Bissessa was
2022.
2022.
So, Mrs. Bissessa, which one is really it? Which one is the truth? Because in 2012, you spoke the truth about how we attained our independence. But yet in 2022 was a whole different story. Why are you all doing this to us? And this is the mental health part of it that is bothering me. It's on both sides, you know. You for what, the sake of riding up your base to keep the support. You could change this narrative, ma'am. You can change it. You and your people can change this narrative, how we view our independence, because we have lots to celebrate. Despite what, you know, Natasha, she missed such an ovation. If you and Gregory alone showed up Independence morning, the crowd would have gone up in the air. You would have gotten a nice welcome, because Trinidadians know how to behave. They know when to separate their issues, unless you do something really stupid. You would have come to that Independence Parade as the opposition leader, because you're part of the government. And stand side by side and respect our independence. The object of the exercise here this morning is to get that to change for when we reach 61. You think you're all big enough, Miss Bissessa?
I agree. I think even if you bear, a certain amount of ill will for the party that is in government, this happens once a year. This was our 60th anniversary of independence. It would not have cost you anything with your supporters or anybody else for you as the opposition leader to have been there when the country, and I don't know where Miss Amin is getting this, everything had to be in Port of Spain. Port of Spain is the capital of Trinidad and Tobago.
And she represents her constituency.
And the Independence Parade has been held in the Queen's Park Savannah for how many years? That is no excuse.
Not only that,
that is no excuse.
Those who are out of the country, fine. But what about those who were here? This is your country too. You have the same passport, folks.
Come on.
In case you all didn't remember. And when you jump on a plane and you sit back, you watch the crime rate go up and you revel in that. When you jump on a plane, you have the same passport like mine. You're from Trinidad and Tobago.
Correct.
So the mental illness that associated with this, short man, let's go to the video.
Before we do, though, I just want us to talk back a little bit before we hear about the issue of racism as it relates to mental health in terms of the persons who are the targets of racist abuse, right? I want us to just think about some of the myths and stereotypes that we have about each other. If I could just very briefly run them down. So, about African people, what do they say? We're lazy, we're shiftless, we're not good with money, uneducated, like brands and all of these things, and have a propensity to be criminals.
Yeah.
Right?
But they forget.
What do we say? Wait, before we go, what do we say about Indian people now? They love money. They love rum. They're quick to fight over land and kill people for land. They pray to idols. They worship idols. These are the things that we say about our fellow Trinbagonians on both sides. How far has that gotten us How far has that gotten us really? And we all say these things, and it's not just Indian against African. It's Indian against Indian too, because the colonizers very smartly put in their heads that the closer you are to us, the better. So the fairer your skin, the closer you are to us. The more money you have, the closer you are to us. And they did the same with the Africans. The lighter your skin, the fairer your skin, the closer you are to us. The more money you have, the closer you are to us. So it's not just African and Indian. We have these divisions within our own communities as well. And these stereotypes and these myths that we perpetuate, it fuels a kind of hatred of each other and ourselves. And I wish we could understand this and examine our own prejudices and how they impact on our communities and our country as we are seeing it displayed for the world to see by our leaders.
Thank you, Natasha. I am grieving because of, as you said, why should we care about this really? But Trinidad and Tobago reminds me of that picture of the two donkeys pulling in two different directions. And this is how I feel about us right now. Apart from which, Trinidad and Tobago reminds me of me when I was in denial. Because we want to brush aside everything. I listened to Dr. Munilal and Anil and they sit and he even insinuated Dr. Oli was in Dubai or somewhere for one independence. And that is not, that why we going there? Why is it continuing? And you know what hurts me? When the first shot fire, you all running to hide behind your security. You're not going to take part in that race war.
Thank you.
You're not going to take part in that, So then what am I supposed to do with the Indian people in my batch that I train with? What I'm supposed to do with them? What I'm supposed to do with the people who I grew up with in St. Mary's Village, Muruga Road, the Indian guy who showed me how to cut cane and how to control a bison, going in because we couldn't wait to go up there for August vacation. I cut cane alongside Indian people. And then he showed me how to eat aloo with the what do you call it? Sada. Yes. Show me how it was little boy. How I could forget that? How? Tell me. You heard Darian speak here about Fuad Khan, and I've always tell people, you may not remember what somebody do for you, but you remember always how they treat you. And I remember when Dr. Fuad Khan was Minister of Health, you call Dr. Khan, he missed the call, he called you back, hey God, I see you called me, what happened? I see I missed your call. That's how he was Minister of Health, you know. And every time I call him, once he get an answer, he answers. That's how Dr. Khan treated me. So if we start a race war now, if he end up in front of my crosshairs, I'm supposed to take him out. Well, I know somebody would like that, but really? This is where we going, people?
Really. We really need to examine how we
thank you very much. We need to stop
each other.
We need to stop it.
Agreed. On both sides.
And grow up. Madam Bissessa, I mean all of you who were here for independence could have gone to the parade. Grow up. It is Trinidad and Tobago. Independence is not a political thing. Shopman, before I don't want to go into the next hour with this, so let's go to video E.
Yes. And although this is from an American perspective, there are obviously some things that will apply in our context. So
listen to it.
Let's have a listen.
Racism and mental health are connected in many ways. This video will discuss the impact on people and communities who are targets of racism. Around the world, Black, Indigenous, and people of color are the target of prejudice, systemic discrimination, microaggressions, and physical acts of violence due to the color of their skin. Experiences of racism not only cause distress in the moment, but can also lead to mental health issues that become more severe with each experience. Let's review some of the immediate and long-term effects of racism. During and immediately after experiencing racism, the fight-or-flight nervous system response may be activated. This survival response prepares people to respond to threats in the environment and can include anxiety or stress, a faster heartbeat, sweating, nausea, and racing thoughts. People can also experience sadness, anger, and have a lowered sense of self-worth and confidence. Over time, the cumulative effect of racism can cause chronic stress and a heightened stress response, poor overall mental health, and physical health issues. Experiencing racism can contribute or lead to symptoms of depression, anxiety, and PTSD. It can also cause hypertension and other cardiovascular problems, relationship difficulties, trouble with school or work performance, and an overall reduced sense of well-being. People do not have to be the direct target of interpersonal acts of racism to experience its harmful effects. Research shows that being a part of a marginalized group in and of itself is a source of stress. Witnessing oppression or violence towards individuals from one's community can cause vicarious trauma and even symptoms associated with post-traumatic stress disorder. This is often widespread after instances of racist violence make national headlines. The economic and emotional impact of dehumanization and victimization can be passed down over generations. The ripple effects of history are still impacting many people in the present day. People from marginalized communities are not only more likely to experience mental health issues due to social determinants and institutionalized racism, they are less likely to have access to treatment for their concerns. It's clear that increasing access to mental health care is vital to promote the health and wellness of everyone. So, how do we make changes? No one individual alone can be responsible for effecting change. Positive change and healing requires a conscious effort from everyone. When it comes to such a widespread and ingrained problem such as racism, making a positive change requires us all to be a part of the solution. We all greatly benefit when the lives of everyone are valued and people can live out their full potential. We must educate ourselves on the history of racism and unlearn many things that are presented as truth by the dominant culture. Take initiative and do research. There are many books, websites, training, and other resources to help you on your journey. Don't place the burden of the time and emotional labor of this education on already burdened people from marginalized communities. When you see acts of racism, call it out and call people in to have meaningful conversations about the impact of their words and actions. Let's all work together to support mental health for all and make our world a more equitable and inclusive place.
Right. So there are many things in that video that may hit home for you. One of the last things that was said about conforming to the dominant culture, I think in Trinidad and Tobago, it's fair to say the dominant culture is Africa, I would think. So what does that mean in the context of race relations in Trinidad and Tobago? And before we go to the positive side of this, I just wanted to share.
Yeah, we'll take your calls in the next hour, folks. Yes. We just, because remember, before Natasha finishes, we deliberately did not play any ads or promos in this segment because we didn't want to involve anybody in our rant. We had to respect them, but from the next hour, we'll be doing that. But you'll also, what you're going to see, we're going to be celebrating now our independence, and that much anticipated drill, TTDF drill team on parade, you're going to get to see that, because I know some of you didn't see that. Even those who took part in it didn't get to see it. So now you're going to have a chance to see it this morning. All right?
Right, yes.
Natasha.
Just very quickly, I had an experience of racism when I was 11 years old. I went to a then private but cooperative primary school. It's now a private school in Westmoreland. And this was after the SEA, common entrance, as it was then. And I had passed for my third choice. And I overheard two boys talking about various children and the results that they got. One of those boys is incidentally grew up to be the managing director of a very large and dominant bottling company in Trinidad and Tobago. I overheard the two of them talking about the N-word Nunez. Of course, I didn't confront them when I heard that. I didn't tell anybody what was said about me. But I went through my entire secondary school life wondering, is that really me? What haven't I done? What did I do to deserve that moniker? Why would somebody call? Because that is a word I never heard in my house. What did I do to deserve somebody calling me like that name? How can I present myself to people so that they won't think of me in that way? This is how racism impacts mental health. This is one example, and I'm sure people out there have many others. I mean, I was a child, but when you experience these things, even as an adult, it hurts. And there's very little opportunity to hit back or to defend yourself from these kinds of comments. And I wish that people would recognize that our own, as I was mentioning earlier, our own myths and preconceived notions of how other people think and behave, it can be very dangerous and harmful.
Right. Thank you very much, Natasha. And I hope, folks, that this morning's program, as I said, we will have a series of it. This is just the beginning, because we have other people who willing to contribute to this discussion. We want to keep it. We have to come together at some point in time. And my hope, my wish, our hope and wish is that for the 60th anniversary of independence, we will forget. Let's start afresh. Let's start with a clean slate. We have to stop this boycott for boycott. And we have to stop this riling up the base. And Ms. Bissessa, again, I'm asking you, we heard two statements from you reference our independence. I would like you to teach your folks the right thing. play over that video. That was 2012. You probably forgot what you said and contradicted this time with it. Folks, we don't want a race war in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't. We have a bigger fight to fight. The fight is the substance abuse and its related ills. Folks, put up the image M quick. Short man, we have 1 minute. We promise to keep it in this hour. Image M. Go to image M quick, Ms. Bissessa. This is what we like you to help us with. Trinidad and Tobago will be relegated to Tier 3 if we do not have a prosecution of a trafficker. We ask you to join with the government and call out the judiciary so that we could get at least one conviction this year, so we could go to Tier 1. Please, you see this image on the screen here, Ms. Bissessa? Cocaine and all the other opioids that are destroying our children. We need you to help us fight that, Ms. Bissessa. That's the fight we want from you. Yes, your job is to oppose and question the government and all of that. Fine, no problem. But there's a bigger fight on our hands. We're losing our children to drugs. When I go penal to lecture, I don't care if it's Indian people in the audience. I willingly go to teach them about the dangers of drugs. That is what we want from you, Mrs. Bissessa. And finally, as somebody asked me who I am, I'm a tax-paying citizen, and we're paying her salary, so we could call her out. Well, they seem to forget that. We would like you to appear, and the opposition come and support the troops that you're going to see in the next hour. Let's go to that break. Can't wait to show you all this, folks. Let's go to that break. And when we return, you see we start with the mass bands, my favorite. And then you will see some things for the police in Tobago, or the police on the motorbikes in Tobago. They put on a nice little show for the folks. Then you will see the favorite Potong on parade. And then we will go to the TTDF drill team on parade. The combined services drill team and that wonderful display they put on for us at the Savannah on Sunday morning. That's what you miss, Miss Bissessa. We'll be back. Stay right there.
Don't become a headline. Doing construction, picking fruit or trimming trees? Keep bamboo rods, ladders, scaffolding, roof beams, oversized material of any type, and body parts at least 15 feet from electricity poles and lines. Before doing any type of work close to overhead lines or to the point of connection to your home, and before digging where there are underground lines, contact T&Tech for a temporary disconnection so you can work safely. T&Tech, the power to make it work.
Finally, Welcome Relief comes in the form of a scientific-based program that shows us how to manage through the tough, current challenges. Called Habitalism. It features best-selling author on positivity and happiness, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, integrated with the award-winning Intangence methodology of Ross. Visit habitalism.me to register now for this free life-transforming program endorsed by the United Nations established University for Peace. Gifted by Guardian Group. Live easy.
Cappy, talk to you now, boy. Got a small work for you to do. You make a quick 10 G's. What you go do for me? 10 G's? What's that how I do there, boy? What you doing? Taking your boat, run up the islands, pick up some people and then bring them back here for me. That's all you have to do.
That's something like human trafficking, man. That's a serious crime. I can't make that.
Trafficking in human beings is a serious violation of a person's human rights. It violates a person's right to freedom of movement, freedom of choice, freedom of speech, and freedom of identity. It is a heinous crime which affects local, regional, and international peace and security. A victim of human trafficking is subjected to many types of abuse. The crime destroys a person's dignity and self-worth. Victims often feel hopeless, are suicidal, and are stigmatized in their communities. Child victims are deprived of their rights to education, play, and social interactions. They're essentially robbed of their childhood, and that can never be regained once those years have passed. If we do little or nothing to fight against human trafficking in our country, we can face economic sanctions from international agencies and partners. Our country will be losing money. Doing little or nothing to fight against human trafficking will tarnish our country's international image and, most of all, the value we place on human life. Human trafficking is no respecter of persons. Anyone can be a victim. So let us all strive to safeguard human life and dignity in Trinidad and Tobago.
We are the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on a 95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Eye on Dependency. We want to go quickly to that video, Shortman F. This is an example of how Trinidad and Tobago's Jubilee was celebrated around the world.
And remember, you can join us live on our Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. And while you're there, please like and subscribe to what to our page, so that you'll be notified every time we go on. So let's go to that. And coming up, remember that we have that precision drill put on by the Combined Services.
Now, Trinidad and Tobago's 60th anniversary of independence has been celebrated worldwide. In tonight's Feel Good Moments, we show you some of the places our flag and vibrant colors were featured.
Let's start with this video from China, which depicts celebrations in Beijing, showcasing many of the things you can find in this country. In New York, Mayor of the city Eric Adams declared August 31st Trinidad and Tobago Heritage Day with an official proclamation. The TNT flag was hoisted alongside the flag of the United States of America.
You contribute so much to this city and country. And I'm proud to be here today at the foot of our business district to raise this flag, but also to raise our spirits.
Joining in the momentous occasion was Calypsonian Lord Nelson, who was full of praise for the proclamation. Over in Canada, the Canadian National Tower was illuminated in the red, white and black. The city of Toronto hosted a free two-day festival in commemoration of the 60th anniversary of Trinidad and Tobago's independence. The two-day celebration is to be added to Toronto's packed calendar of summer activities. The iconic Niagara Falls was also illuminated in our national colours. Over in the United Kingdom, the national flag was being flown at the British House of Commons for the very first time for the Independence Day celebration of Trinidad and Tobago. Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Dr. Amy Brown thanked government's team in London, led by High Commissioner for Trinidad and Tobago Vishnu Danpal, for responding to the call to commemorate this country's Diamond Jubilee. And finally, Google once again highlighted this country as a Google Doodle on their homepage, and upon clicking, users were treated to an animated firework display and some history on TNT's independence.
So, Ms. Bissessa, that's not your flag too? That's our flag. And look, it's celebrated around the world.
Yep.
And you missed out. You all missed out. As I said, you missed the opportunity. Big time.
Yep.
Big time. But all is not lost. And we here on our Independency hope and pray that we will see you and members of the opposition at our 61st anniversary Independence Parade. And at least if it's just a stand for Trinidad and Tobago, that'll be nice. All right? So, Shortman, let's go to H. Let's take a little bit of this. They're not doing this for Mr. Major. Sir Major, Modest, watching right now.
How many times? Anyway, folks, carry on.
This is where we got it from. This is where we got our skill from.
Yeah,
so let's go to it. finish off with that one, please?
That's what they are.
Quick!
So as we get ready to celebrate our republic, remember this was where we came from, folks. This was where we got our drill. Well, the military and the tradition, it was handed on from this. And everything you see here is replicated in our military. You know, it's just that these guys, all they do is play music and practice. They don't do God, they don't do nothing else but play music. So this is why they're so tight. And, you know, they do this for a living. You know, so...
Gary.
What is it?
Sorry, I see any Tassa. You ain't going to see no Tassa in this band. That is not happening.
Well, let's stop it now. That was the first hour.
But yeah, okay.
You know,
fair enough.
They don't even matter in the Indian band, so and the Indian military. So I don't know. Look, let us stop.
Can we
please
move on? Yes, let's move on.
Right. So, folks, let's see. Shortman, let's go to video now, and let's show what the police in Tobago. This was impromptu, I'm sure, but while in Tobago, the parade had come into an end. The police officers on their bikes decided to do a little fancy thing for the people who are watching. So let's go to that and see how we celebrated. And I want to thank the people who came out on Independence morning. Oh my God, folks! You see the people all in Trinidad and Tobago. Let me tell you, when I got to the Savannah, the amount of people I saw, it reminded me of the Marsh Gras night, where people lined up to go into the Marsh Gras. Listen to me. It was a sea of red from Jerningham, from Cipriani, all the way up to the Queen's Park West. East, sorry. People for so. And when sitting in the grandstand doing the broadcast, looking at up northeast where they had the bleachers, there was not a space left for people. So this is what happened in Tobago. Let's look at what the officers did on their bikes in Tobago for the people who were They were coming from the parade, and they decided
at this intersection to do a little display.
A little show off for the troops. So for the spectators.
And you see, look at people on the road.
Yeah.
A lot of people came out.
People came out. I yes. Both sides, people came out. And I want to congratulate you all for not listening to the hype and come out here and say, I tell you, the Savannah was a sea of red. And I want to thank you, all the people who felt the need. Listen, it's granny, grandpa, auntie, children, and for them to get there on time, you know, they might have get up like 4 in the morning, in some cases 3 in the morning, and come to the Savannah. Eh? Listen, come on, Ms. Bissessa, if the citizens can make that sacrifice, so can we paying you.
And the argument that we had nothing to celebrate. I mean, yes, I was one of those, to be fair, that felt that way. I didn't really feel, excited about living here in Trinidad and Tobago. But, as I said, independence is one time a year. Why would you not celebrate your own birthday?
Right, so that famous Pothound, and then from that we go to the precision drill. This was the highlight. Must be says, come on, man.
No, this Pothound, I think has more meaning than anything else for me in this parade, because it shows that, it shows how animals are really so integral to our lives and existence on this planet, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but we don't pay enough attention to animals.
Come sure, man. Let's go with that video.
That's my spiel. But I hope he is safe and sound, and hopefully somebody adopts him, because he deserves a loving home.
All right, let's look at it. So there he is heading west.
Yes.
And then he turned around.
He was like, "What is this? What's going on here? Where am I?"
And then
have a parade today, boy.
Do about turn and come back, and when you reach right in front of us, you go right.
Alright, there's some cars and vehicles in. Maybe I'll turn back and see what we're doing. Alright, let me trot back. Yes, only look me. Eyes right. Look me.
And there comes the eyes right, eyes front, and that's it.
Yes.
And he goes his way.
And it's gone. Yes.
That you talk about noise people making in Savannah.
Happy, healthy dog. That's a wonderful set.
Yes.
Lovely.
Did you have audio of that?
There was a little bit, not much, but there was actually some cheers and applause from the audience.
Well, let me hear
people
the
in the
cheers and applause
stands.
for the dog now, man.
All right, run it again, please. A short man.
Come on, a short man.
Because he did get some applause.
Yes. All right, folks. So that's it. So
amazing.
I
love it.
Yes. Thank you, doggy, for putting a smile on everybody's face that morning.
Yes.
Despite what, so folks, the much anticipated precision drill was put on. You will hear the announcement. You will hear the lead update. Let's go to that quickly. Let's go. Join us on Dependency's Facebook page or YouTube channel, EYE. We'll show that afterwards at the fire service.
Drive. So it should be TTDF drill team. Right, that's it.
Right, let's go.
interagency precision drill team, which is comprised of members of several different
Ladies and
organizations.
gentlemen, you are about to witness the precision drill of the Interagency Precision Drill Team. With a total of 85 persons from the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service, and the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force. This team commenced training this routine on July 18th, 2022, and comprises an armed and unarmed display with over 2,000 precision drill movements. The team's age group ranges from persons 15 years old to 47 years old, and it is part of the Defense Force's Youth Developmental Program to have members of the Cadet Force involved in this drill display. The Defense Force remains committed to the molding and mentoring of our youth through various development programs, community outreach through civil, military operations, as well as career development initiatives, all with the goal of producing well-rounded, disciplined, loyal, nation-building citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. The drill team is dressed in the retro wear of the services from yesteryear. Short pants and poppy socks with potty and gaiters. The drill team is commanded by 9133 Warrant Officer 1 Ricardo Sani of the regiment, and Detachment Second in Command 5920 Chief Petty Officer Michel Jarrett of the Coast Guard. After the words of command, "As for precision drill," commences issued, there will be no other commands until the end. So sit back and enjoy the display.
So the precision drill team is now center stage, comprising members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, the Trinidad and Tobago Prisons Service.
So here they go, folks. Those of you listening on the radio, pity that you not be able to see what's happening here, but the drill, precision drill routine has started. And you would have heard the announcement, how many units comprise this drill team. And right now they're doing their dressing with their eyes right, with their rifles. Well, there's an armed and unarmed section 2 of this precision drill team. And they are using SLRs. That's the armed contingent. They are using SLRs in their routine, and then they're the unarmed contingent. So,
imagine the sense of responsibility that each member feels.
And this was a first for our independence, of course, celebrating our jubilee.
Individual rank, because we see it's a combined effort at this point in time.
And we pardon for the interruption.
No one wants to make any mistakes.
With that noise you're hearing from next door.
To not be able to shine. You know, everyone wants
There
to
is
perform well, not just for themselves or their organization, but their families, their friends looking on. They want to do everyone proud.
Whose voice? Yeah, that was Adrian Dunmore who started off. The MC of this van, it seemed it was a Coast Guard officer. I didn't get his name.
And giving way
Gary, could you just...
to the team, they're going to take up station off to the side.
So we have officers of Coast Guard, Fire, and Air Guard leaving.
So we have Chief Petty
there's Jarrett. Can't remember her rank now, but I want to congratulate her for being part of the team and putting this together.
And the instruction is being given to stand at ease.
I'm looking forward to this. It's 85 persons.
The voices you're hearing is Lieutenant Khan and Chief Petty Officer Eastman Jarrett. That's the yes. Yes, no, but
by the various services.
yes.
We have the
So the voice you're hearing is Lieutenant Khan.
And it's important to remember
hear
that
some more commentary.
every single movement being performed is occurring without any words of command.
So I think I want us to sit back and look at this themselves. More than 2,000 movements.
Yes, well, folks, again, what they're doing now is the drill team, precision drill team, are doing a series of movements, turning on the spot, left turn, right turn, about turn, a lot of bend punching and saluting, and with a little fancy move in between the military moves. It was something to behold. They weren't perfect because I could, you see, doing this in practice and going out and doing this in front of a crowd of people. Trust me, some people, when you hear it, sometimes when you lift that right, need to drive it into the ground, so you you get so weak sometimes if you're not confident what you're doing. When you drive that right foot into the ground, you hear nothing because some people get nervous. But all in all, I would give this display 9 out of 10. Yeah, with 1 or 2.
For first attempt,
Yeah. Right now they're doing a very slow about turn. And what I liked was when they all turn about, they lift their knees high, parallel to the ground. Their thighs parallel to the ground. Everybody had to wait until the last team did it and come back to attend the position of attention.
We could go back to the video. I think that people enjoy the music and
Yes.
the commentary.
Let me jump up, let me wind up, party non-stop. Ramage tingle like que we come to play mass. Every creed and class, don't let nothing pass. Like a ready to me, all the love inside the way. If you me, you go see blood. And if you squeeze me, you go feel the love. We are one people under the sun. One nation under the law. We all let it go.
I must give the young ladies from the cadets. That young lady did about one of the crispest about things I've seen in quite a while from any military person.
Yeah.
That was coming closer. She did it really crisp. The cadets were really, they executed their section, executed really well.
Yeah.
And they were on point. Folks, and this is what it's all about. And for the opposition, they did this for you too. This was for you too. This wasn't for nobody else but the people of Trinidad and Tobago. This parade hard, all you feel.
Yeah,
Independence Parade, look at this hard,
Yeah.
Watchmen, this parade was very taxing, and people have to understand that. So when the troops go out there, folks, it's for you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. They know business who in office and who not in office.
They're trying to show us what teamwork and commitment
That's
and
right.
hard work looks like.
That's right.
The music has been arranged
So,
by a
folks,
combination of arrangers
if these folks
within
could do it for us, then the least we can do is respect these troops and show up on the morning that they prepare to come to show up for us.
We have a wide
Okay?
selection of
That's all we asking, Ms.
composers
Pisesa.
and arrangers that would have adapted
That's all.
these musical accompaniments that we are hearing here today. It's interesting to know that traditionally the music is arranged by serving musicians within the bands themselves. And this year's selection for the inspection was a tribute to the nation's 60th anniversary. The music tells a story of significant historical events from the time of the Declaration of Independence to the present day, and it's titled Star and Shield. It was composed by Major Kester Francis, the senior director, and he's on parade today and features the tunes God Bless Our Nation, Our Lands of Suns and Seas, The More We Are Together, I'm 95, My Army, and The Last Post, to name a few.
And while we're looking at this, we're also looking at what it is we're seeing on our screens in the retro wear. So we have individuals in short pants and poppy socks. We're also seeing some gauges.
Yes, so those white items around the upper part of the footwear, or the boots, and the lower part of the trousers are called gaiters, and that would have been part of the original kit in years gone by, as well as the white coralline belts that you see around some of their waists, and all of these items would have actually been part of the uniforms in years gone by. The white gloves themselves, not necessarily so. That is an item used for precision drill displays like this, and you'd see that it gives a lot more visibility.
Definitely. So in terms of peripheral vision, so you don't necessarily want to be looking towards what you want to see, but to be able to align your movements with that of the person next to you.
Exactly. So the instructors would use it as a technique to highlight the movements of the hands and arms.
And while we're looking at these spirited movements, I mean, we're seeing the work that has gone into this play called Diamond Jubilee, 60 years of independence.
So these services would have been rehearsing for a considerable period of time to be able to get to this point. They would have been rehearsing since earlier in this year, last month. The team would have been brought together and taken off any other duties to focus on being able to present the spectacle that we see unfolding before us here now.
And once again, listening to the message and the music as it ties into the actions of the precision drill. So much has taken place during this pandemic, but at the same time, life is still here for many of us, and that is being celebrated here at the Queen's Park Savannah this Independence morning.
Exactly, and the musical composition and the drill display, they are all intended to highlight that light at the end of the tunnel and that emergence from that national trial that would have been the pandemic.
You're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, folks, and what we're showing is the military the drill display by the combined services, and what indeed a great job they did.
All working together, persons from
we want to congratulate a few people to congratulate for putting this together, but we'll do that as soon as when it comes to an end, and we'll take your calls after that. I'm really, this had to take a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of coordination. This would not have been easy to do, and I'll tell you all who were involved in a while in putting this together. This is what they did for us, folks. Mr. Sir, sorry I missed this, but this was for you too. This wasn't just for one segment of our society. This was for everybody. And the least we could do is respect them and the hard work that they do for Trinidad and Tobago. That's all we ask. So forget this race thing. If all you could. I know it's hard. I know it's not something I say. I know I'm being naive and to think that it will happen soon. But I hope one day, one generation would take it and at least respect our independence. So they're now going to prepare.
Don't forget to like and share if you're watching on YouTube. Good morning to you. And if you're watching on Facebook, like and share the video.
Yes.
And share the love.
So they know the troops are now getting ready as the drill display comes to an end. They're going to do their eyes right for the president, who applauded as well at the end of this display. It was nice. We thank you all to the troops, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the men and women of the Protective Service, for giving of your time once again and the service that you continue to provide for Trinidad and Tobago. Well done. Well done. Well done. And here as they make their way off, we congratulate. As you heard, the voice you heard on radio was Lieutenant Khan alongside DK Roston, and who you saw was Chief Petty Officer Eastman Jarrett, W1 Ricardo Sami now. Ricardo Sami, W1, he was the coordinator, along with Sergeant Allen from the Air Guard, Petty Officer T. Allen, and LS Lendor, and Sub Fire Officer Kwashi. These were the people who came together. You know, the music was put together by L.S. Salazar and Writer Nurse. The cutting and editing and mixing of the music, that was done by L.S. Salazar and Writer Nurse. Congratulations to all of you. Well done. And as they make their way off, we can take some calls, Gary.
You want to show
the fire service, yes.
Before we take calls, let's Shortman, give us the fire service video after this one ends. So, the fire service band had a time. It was thoroughly enjoyed, of course, by those who lined the streets.
So, Chief Petty Officer Eastman Jarrett and all the rest of you, congratulations, well done. And we look forward to another display. It'll be fire service when they reach Park and Henry. That's Park and Henry?
Park and Frederick Street.
That's Tech, right. There's some volume, Gary. Let the people hear what fire service be bad.
Gary.
Gary, stop it. Independence, folks. As I said, I feel like a weight came off my shoulder this morning, by doing this program, but we had to do it. Thank you for listening.
And happy Republic Day when it comes to, that's also
right.
important.
Republic Day is coming up.
Yes, the Queen is no longer ours.
And yep, and if you're into fitness, Gradient Health and Fitness Limited, folks, they have some nice stuff for you if you're into fitness. We're celebrating people, this year, and I want to celebrate a young man who's been doing really good work. With providing good supplements and so on for people who like to work out and stay fit. So check out Gradient Health and Fitness Limited. They're on 29 Marval Road, Saddle Road in Marval. Just ask for Marlon. Just opposite to Linda's. So I'm on the same side a little way from Linda's Bakery, but you can't miss it. Go and check him out and get yourself fit, because we need to stay fit as well in case of anything, right? So Gary, let's take
622-3937. So if you have any comments to make about independence, republicanism, or about what took place in the first hour, now is the time.
Good morning. 622-3937. Good morning. What's going on with the phone lines, Gary? Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
That and Natasha, good morning. Yeah.
Turn off your radio first, please.
Right. You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, this is our old friend of yours, and old soldier. We watch Independence Day and we enjoy Independence Day.
Yes.
But I also want to remind you of Soca aerobics in Toronto. Remember when you used to do that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, my friend.
Right. We introduced something well new in Toronto, and we had a lot of fun with it.
Yes.
But the next thing I'm trying to get on to is your brother Dexter. I'm trying to get a number for you somehow, and I've been trying a long while. I've been listening to you for lots of weeks and trying to get on to you.
Call downstairs and leave your number now and I'll call you.
All right.
Call 622. What's your number downstairs? 628-4911.
4955.
Sorry.
622.
No,
628.
628.
4955.
4955.
Leave your number and I'll call you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay.
You're welcome. 622-3937. Good morning. 622-3937. Good morning.
Good morning, God.
Morning.
Good morning, Natasha.
Good morning, sir.
Shortman or Gary?
Both of them. They're both here.
Both of them.
Both of them. No, wonderful program because the truth must be told. Independence wasn't given a platter. It was fought for because you had to go to prove to those English people that your country was ready to govern itself. So it wasn't given on a platter as was described by the former PM. Secondly, she mentioned in her speech where Sugar, that in 1962 Sugar had died, etc., etc. So if she knew that Sugar had died by 1962, how could she say on her forum that she's going to bring back the sugar industry? And furthermore, Miss Amin seems to suffer from an identity crisis because surprisingly, during the UNC tenure, one of the tea ladies in Parliament was Miss Amin's mom, a slim brown skin lady. Her dad is a tall, slim, mixture guy, but apparently she has more or less, rather than absorb and enjoy both the parentage of her folks, she seems to have taken on one side. Hence the reason why she makes all these misleading, wrong statements. But that Trinidad and Tobago is a multicultural society, and since East Indians came to this country, there have been mixed relationships. There was something called combust on the sugar estate. Sometimes one African man had two Indian wives, so they could say what they want, jump high, jump low. Douglas are part of our history and will continue to be, and we should absorb both our African and Indian cultures and identities, enjoy it and be the best, and may Trinidad be the country that it is supposed to be. Thanks very much. One love. Don't with the races.
One love.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning, Dr. Natasha.
Morning.
Hey, good morning.
How are you all today?
Not bad at all, sir.
Fantastic program. God, you may know my sentiments about a new conversation that has to be taking place in our society.
Yes.
About truth and the philosophy of nationhood, to which I lay claim to be introduced to when I was 8 going on 9, and which informed my life to this day. 6 decades of living in sovereign Trinidad and Tobago. I find it a travesty that in 2022 we have to be enduring the diatribe that passes as political contributions and so on by those who are aspirants to form governments that will make laws to govern you and I. And I'm saying that the modern day politicians who would have benefited from every single thing that I could testify to have got to do a personal check of themselves to assist us in understanding what are you offering as a philosophy for the continuation of Trinidad and Tobago as we approach our 7th decade of life as a sovereign nation. This is a serious time in our lives. I mean, I have seen, you would know I grew up in Tobago until I was 15. I have to listen every day to exhortations that nothing was done for Tobago. Likewise in Trinidad, nothing was done for Trinidad. Well, I lived here. I lived in both islands. And it is very, very, you know, it's hard to listen to it. And that is my contribution. I want to thank you all for starting the conversation, for all the testimonies and evidence that you brought forward. Right? And in parting, I want to say, we have made they have been searching for where this thing went awry in our country. And it seems to me that we are sacrificing the sanctity of our nation on the altar of politics, which is just a system. We are the people. We are the people. Politics is just a system. Anyone could advance to that. But they have to come with some philosophy that impacts positively on people. This is my contribution. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Major. Thank you. I tell you, on my way here this morning, before we left home, I called His Worship, Murchison Brown, to tell him, I said, look, you got to pray for me this morning, I need your support with this. And, he told me, yes, God, we'll pray for you. Because he understood, because this bothered me. It bothered me that we had to do a program like this. It really bothered me. But, morning, sir.
Morning, God. Morning, Natasha. And morning to quote-unquote short man.
Morning.
Listen, I understand your concerns and I understand that they come in. Your concern is from a background of patriotism. But I think your hopes and your aspirations are ill-directed because you're planting seeds. You're trying to plant a seed of patriotism in a garden that definitely show you is party before country. So you're swimming against the tide in second bocus.
Wow.
You will understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand.
These are not unintelligent people. These are people that are specialists in dog whistles. You know what a dog whistle?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So don't feel they don't know what you're saying is true. And that is the danger, and that is the sadness, and that is the tragedy of the whole thing. Because they would expect who know better to do better, but they are addressing a certain constituency that hungry and lapping up every last grain of rice that they throw at them, every last political grain of feed that they get. So I understand what you're saying, and they understand what you're saying too. But they have an agenda. You think this is the whole hierarchy of that party are academics, We don't have the letters after our names that they have, So don't feel they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, that is sad. That is sad, yeah. That is sad what they're doing, though.
You trying to apply medicine for somebody who's saying, even if you give me the medicine, I go jump. You understand? You can't save that. You can't save that because they don't want that. But the people who they are addressing want to hear everything that they're saying. And they, as the academics and the intelligent people who speaking, they know what to say and who they're saying it to.
All right, Kola, thank you very much. It's sad, though. It's really sad that we cannot even come together for our independence. It's something that countries fought for, blood, sweat, and tears for, lost hundreds of lives for. We get our own and we playing football with it. This needs to stop. Good morning.
Yeah, God, good morning.
Morning.
I always remember you from in the days of the V's. Whenever you see that PTI man come out there, no smiley face, sober, you're getting a workout, unimaginable workout. Anyhow.
Yeah, that's what you train, and I think that's what
I mean, it's a commendation,
Yeah, and they see, and I know, but I know. But what I mean is, though,
get a good workout from you.
I know, but what I'm saying is that I wish they would appreciate how troops work and how hard troops work, and the kind of love that troops have for their country.
And Natasha has a similar disposition. When I used to deal with her, I met her once or twice when she was up and working in St. Augustine by a United Nations office. Went to get some information there, and she was same thing, very businesslike, very quiet, and not much of a smile, but efficient, But what I called for, I was fortunate to be part of two of the predecessors to that Independence Day parade. I remember as a little child, my father took us down to the Savannah on 2 or 3 occasions to witness what was the Queen's birthday parade. That used to be the big military parade. Whenever the Queen's birthday, they had a big thing like what you have now. when we became independent, and not much credit is given to Dagger and the Pegasus Sports and Debate, but he was Geddes Granger at the time. Not much commendation is given to him, that Geddes Granger, a.k.a. Makanda Dagger, for organizing the first Independence Day parade. That started somewhere by the Cipriani statue, and a number of uniform groups marched up Frederick Street to the Savannah. Now, that was done for about 3 or 4 years, and its popularity probably caused Dr. Williams to check himself, and then they brought in this Independence Day parade. But Makanda Dagger is the first person to start the Independence Day parade of Frederick Street. Also, Makanda Dagger was not given the accolades he deserves for having the first Independence Day award ceremony. That was in the town hall, and about 12 top public servants, Trinidadians, who awarded medals. The only name I could remember was Dr. Roy Nihol was one of the recipients. And then about, that was 62. For about 7 years afterwards, I think it was 1969, the Independence Day Awards began. But Makanda Dagger started all of these things, and he's not credited in our history books.
All right, Cola, thank you so much.
Thanks for reminding us of that history.
Yes, and we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we wrap up with you. And as I said, we thank you very much for spending the time with us. So let's go to a quick break. We'll be back. And while we wait on Shortman to folks, once again, we have Republic Day coming up, and we don't know what day is planned, but we hope that, we can continue with what we started for independence. As I said, we want to thank all the people who came out for independence Day to witness that parade. You all came out in numbers, granny, tanty, uncle, tout moon, everybody. You all came out, and we really appreciate it. So let's go to that quick break, and we'll come back and wrap up with you.
The sex trafficking thing is a serious thing in a way.
Sex trafficking? I thought it was only human trafficking it have.
But what do you mean?
No serious thing, boy. Where you get that from? I don't know about human trafficking, not about sex trafficking.
So how can you spot and identify perpetrators and children who are victims of trafficking? Many victims who are children do not look like under 18 years old. Child victims often move escorted around alone or in small groups. They also live in shared and even packed rooms and have very little clothing and belongings. Child victims are often seen with adults who are not their parents, their relatives, or their caregivers. Migrant children are often unaccompanied and separated from their parents. Child victims are often engaged in work that is not suitable for children. They are often deprived of their freedom to go to school, to play, and to enjoy being a child. Perpetrators have unexplained sources of income and possessions. They are businessmen and businesswomen running legitimate and illegitimate businesses. Perpetrators may appear to be the victim's friend, boyfriend, close relative, or employer.
We are the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Don't become a headline. Doing construction, picking fruit or trimming trees? Keep bamboo rods, ladders, scaffolding, roof beams, oversized material of any type, and body parts at least 15 feet from electricity poles and lines. Before doing any type of work close to overhead lines or to the point of connection to your home, and before digging where there are underground lines, contact T&Tech for a temporary disconnection so you can work safely. T&Tech, the power to make it work.
Finally, Welcome Relief comes in the form of a scientific-based program that shows us how to manage through the tough, current challenges. Called Habitalism.
I can see clear.
It features best-selling author on positivity and happiness, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, integrated with the award-winning Intangence methodology of Ross. Visit habitalism.me to register now for this free life-transforming program endorsed by the United Nations established University for Peace. Gifted by Guardian Group. Live easy.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Iron Dependency. We're in the last 5 minutes of the show. So if you would like to give us a call, express how you feel about what we discussed here today, 622-3937 is the number to call.
So, once again, folks, we made sure, and Shortman is his alias to love.
Nickname,
yes,
pen
that's his
name,
alias.
whatever you want to say. It's a term of endearment, really.
Yes. So
He's
we
also called Little John by Gary.
622-3937. Good morning.
Hey, I was outside.
Oh gosh.
Hello.
Hello.
Morning, Natasha and Gar.
Morning.
And Gary and Shortman.
Morning.
You know, I'm trying to understand that rubber talk Miss Bissessa gave. Because if she's saying sugar died or was dead since before we got independence, why is it that Basdev Pandey kept it? He suggested that the colony closed down, but it remained till Patrick Manning came, and he's the one closed colony. They wanted to kill him for that. But based on what Miss Bissessa said, sugar was dead way back in the 60s. So I don't understand. She's giving me mixed messages. This thing is crazy. And then on top of that, you come and do a next speech and praising all the former leaders. What it is going on? Let me tell you something. I don't understand how this lady wants to be the prime minister once again. That has to be madness in her dreams. You all have a wonderful day. Reach home safe.
Now, folks, remember again, we played the video to accomplish is, Ms. Bissessa, please educate your people in the right things. You see what you said this year is not the truth. And that's why the person had to post independence is an African thing. Independence celebration is an African thing. That is not true. And we hope one day you will do the adult thing and fix that. You have the opportunity to bring two races together. You had it and you didn't take advantage of it. But you see, by your utterances, it will help. Because January 6th, all one man had to say was go down there and fight like hell. And you see what happened. Capital was raped. Words are very powerful coming from leaders, Ms. Bissessa. And let's take another call.
Hello.
62239, good morning.
Morning. I'm not a person to put my head in the sand. And I'm saying it how it is. The racism coming from one sector of the community. Right? You wouldn't get them things coming from the other side. Right? It starts with the white man and the other group take it up and they feel it better than the other side.
All right. So, we gone on that road and we're trying to change that road now. How do we change it?
I think now is now is an ideal time. Now that the matriarch of the British Empire is no longer with us, I think now is a good time for us to reflect on what, as Major Jack was saying, what does nationhood mean to us now that we're no longer tied to the empire, and how do we move forward as an independent republic in the world?
How do we respect our independence? How do we grow to respect our independence and not play football with it?
Yep.
That is all I'm asking. Trying to prevent, we may not stop what may eventually happen, but you cannot say Gaz and Natasha didn't try to change it.
Yeah, because we have to live here too.
Good.
We don't want to see our brothers and fellow citizens fighting over
We don't want no war.
race. We don't want to perpetuate any, negative vibes.
Keep in mind the drug trafficker, the human trafficker, they don't care.
Correct.
About your race, creed, or color.
Correct.
All they want to do is hurt people. We have to come together and try to prevent that and work against that. But we must work as a team to accomplish that. So I would like you all to stand side by side with the government so that the next time we speak about this, because this year we just have about 6 months before we are rated and graded again on the Trafficking in Persons watch list. Ms. Bissessa, you and your people from Trinidad and Tobago too. And I would be happy just for this if we could come together, have a discussion, and try and get us to tier 1 on the Trafficking in Persons watch list. We are under the gun. And
Side by side we stand. Happy independence, happy republic, Trinidad and Tobago.
yes. So, folks, thank you very much for your time this morning. We really appreciate you, loyal Independency supporters and listeners and viewers. Thank you so much for joining us again, Gary. And we have Major Shortman, thank you. And we have major news coming up at 12, right? So, Alison, Sandra, everybody on Facebook and YouTube who joined us this morning. And once again to the combined services who put on that wonderful display. Once again, we thank you for a job well done. And we bless that you have that talent to continue to work on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago. You didn't do that for the UNC, you didn't do that for the PNM, you did it for us, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So, congratulations all. Gary, thank you. Take care.